Hi there. As usual, I have no idea what's to be said, but I come for joy. The joy of living and of giving and of sharing and of just being. It's an empty-headed kind of thing. There's no thought, there's no planning, there's no desired outcome, there's no intent that's focused on anything but right now and right here. Of course, right here for me is everywhere because we are one in the center of every atom and cell and being. And so right here means in the heart of the I am that all are. And so what is here? We are here to expand and anchor the light, my friends. And if that's all we do, that's fine. We don't have to be great outer successes. I'll tell you, frankly, why I don't listen to Abraham as a for instance, Abraham Hicks, who comes through Jerry and Esther Hicks. They're very dear and sweet people, and the intentions of all are the best. But there is such a detailed focus on 3D materiality and functioning within that. And I am not that. That is like a suit of clothing that I wear, that I just find myself suspicious of why any being in higher dimensions would have us so intently focused on such things. And that could be easily my own lack in some way. And if it is, then here I am, as usual, exposing my clay feet. I don't really mind that, though, because in our imperfection, my dears, we are all quite perfect. And to live with the greatest integrity is what we are, what we do, what we're here for. But I'm not here to get drawn down into the fine nuances of becoming successful in 3D. I don't even define success in that way. I could care less what I own or don't own, what I drive or don't drive. If it's functional, I'm happy. If I had a way without a car to get from point A to point B, I'd be happy. It doesn't matter. So many things that used to matter so much I have found to be beyond inconsequential. They just completely fall off the map as anything, you know. It's quite fun, this navigating through the life that we're all leading. But what comes to me so strongly is to just be and to just shine, and by staying anchored in heart, as they say, being hid with Christ in God, by going within and staying there and living there and looking out at everything from that perspective, that works for me. And we find what happens is that our frequency rises, and it keeps doing that. And so very much of any doing is done by this frequency, by this energy that we have, that flows through us. And so people are touched and blessings flow both ways, backwards and forwards, over this energy bridge. Maybe we are the rainbow bridge when we're in heart between heaven and earth, because by being in heart, it's like you put the key in the ignition when you go into heart, and when you firmly abide there, you crank it, you turn it on, and there's such a flow that your life becomes that, everything's different. It's upside down and backwards to what the mind thinks is sane, normal, natural, reasonable, desirable, etc. And hopefully, after a while, the mind takes a back seat. It has done so for me. It just learns after a while as it watches these endless serendipities come out so beautifully that it sees by the fruit of this way of living that there's something to it, so that even if it doesn't understand, it's willing to not fight so hard and to go along. Um, and that's what I found anyway. Um, Everyone's path is so different. Um, and my path, as I look back at the sections of it, if I want to play that game and go back in time, is very different from one point to another. I've played the mental game to the hilt. Um, that was my favorite thing when I would get uncomfortable, is I would go very mental with things and deal with it from there. So even within one individual, we find huge differences. And then when we look at person to person to person, we're not meant to be like someone else. We're only meant to sing our own song. We came down with a solo to sing. And, maybe it's quietly, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's in front of a lot of people, or maybe it's not. But even if we never open our mouth, we're singing our song by being in heart, because it's a radiant energy song that we sing. I think if we were all blessed and given to be clairvoyant, in an instant we would see what I'm talking about here, because you get a flow going. You're in your heart, but somehow just by being there, you get deeply connected both with the earth and with the heavens or the sun. Some way you're also connected with the heights, and there's a magic that seems to require nothing more than just being and reaching for the stars within. My constant thing isn't a taking to myself like Abraham would teach. It's a getting rid of. It's a cleaning out. It's an evacuation, an excavation of thoughts and beliefs that get in the way. Some of the most exciting and enjoyable ones to clean up have been the ones surrounding time, because you open yourself to the most magnificent possibilities. And when you get out there and you learn in quantum physics, for instance, they love this study of subatomic particles. And there are some particles whose business in life, subatomic particles, whose business in life is to move backwards in time. And that's what they do. And they do it consistently. And that's just how it is. The brain um, reacts before something occurs. And this has been established. Now, I'm not going to be real good here about being able to give you references for what I'm saying, and apologies for that, but we all have the internet now. To whatever extent it's still available, as they're implementing these ways to crack down on it. They shut it off in Egypt, friends. That shouldn't be possible, but don't trust. That's all. Don't trust. Stay alert. Anyway, things aren't what we think they are. And when we have our moments where we can go within, I used to do this a lot when driving to and from work, or I would have to go on a 100-mile trip to the doctor as a vet. My VA hospital's in Little Rock, so that's 100 miles away. And it's a great time, because you don't need any part of your full consciousness to drive the car. And so you can be there and yet be deeply pondering within and still be quite safe. So what am I saying? I'm saying that you're doing just by being. Just by being who and what you are, that radiates out. And we have parts of us, aspects of us, that are at work other dimensionally that consciously we're not currently aware of. But as our frequency keeps lifting and lifting, uh, well, what I'm finding right now is it's putting pressure on the body to keep up. And I'm finding that the body is demanding more intense nourishment. And I don't know if any of you are finding the same. I think that we will find a lot of self-healing going on. There are a lot of people right now that have work as healers, and I was quite fascinated. Patricia Corey, a favorite of mine, has been a healer for decades in different ways. And one of the things she says, if you go to one of her presentations, is that the healers need to be aware that up ahead is a time when people will be able to heal themselves, and just to be aware of that, that as an occupation, that might be on a short list. Okay, I'm not hearing anything else, so I guess I'll close out for now. Love is us. See you soon.